We're here with our backline coach, Kade Simpson. And Kade, we're going to take our viewers through some reviews of our defenders' seasons. And we're going to start with Jarman Impey. How did you rate his year?
I think he had an exceptional year, ultra consistent, but consistently at a really high level. His ability to generate offence from our back half with his run and his carry, I think the fans would have loved it because it's really exciting, but it's, I think the opposition would be really worried about the way he plays, but I think when you add that in with his contest work and his ability to intercept the ball, I thought it was a really good year for Jars, and then everything he does off field, leadership, all that sort of stuff as well. I think he should be really proud of the way he performed this year.
Speaking of leadership, how did you rate our captain James Sicily season?
Yes, it's an interesting one. He had some challenges early in the year with the opposition putting quite a bit of work into nullifying his impact, which is it's probably a credit to him how important he is as a player for us. So I think the way he stood up, a lot of adversity with his shoulder, and then I thought he just had some really big moments throughout the season, in front of the ball as well as behind the ball. But he just influenced games. Maybe it wasn't the Sicily of last year getting 30 possessions, but his influence on games and the group through big moments throughout the year was amazing. And he's such I think his stature amongst the group and also amongst the AFL community, I think took a big step forward and just kept rising with the way he performed this year.
And Sam Frost, he was another one that had arguably a career best year. What did you make of it?
Yeah, Frosty, similar to Jars, was ultra consistent, but consistently at that high level, and just nullifying usually the opposition's best tall forward. So his ability just to take them out of the game and really, I don't think he would have been sort of got a hold of too often throughout the season. He was just really good at just halving contests, nullifying their impact. Being really physical and hard to play against is something we I try and coach and stress with Frosty. If he's physical and really hard to play against, it goes a long way for him getting his job done, which makes Hawthorn a better team.
I reckon another one that was probably hard to play against was Carl Amon. What did you make of his year?
Yeah, he's Carl again had a great year, and I think his biggest weapon is his offense and his ball use. I think opposition would put a lot of work into trying to restrict his influence offensively behind the ball. So the other thing he does, which a lot of people might not see, is his organisation of the group and obviously the midfield as well. He plays probably quite high for a defender, so he's able to influence other lines and help our midfielders out, but also get involved in a lot of our offence. So his run and carry and his ball use was really good this year, and again he had a really consistent season, performing at a really high level.
Another one who probably showcased his consistency was Jack Scrimshaw. How did you see his year?
Yeah, really pleased for Scrim. He worked incredibly hard. I think even his own admission, he was really disappointed with his season last year. So he went away, worked really hard in the off season. So came back in really good shape, which obviously gives him the best chance to perform. His offense was great, but his defense and he's sort of playing on the key forwards as well with Frosty. So I think he had an amazing year, but I still see an amazing amount of growth left in Scrimmer as well. So I'm really excited about where he could get to. I think he sort of started to get a bit of recognition amongst the AFL community later in the year after a really good season. But I think, we're talking about one of the real gun key defenders that also can impact the game with his offense and his kicking, his ability to intercept the ball. So he had a great season.
Blake Hardwick had another great season in brown and gold, becomes the ever-reliable defender that he is. What did you make of his year?
Yeah, a little bit different for Dimmer. Did a lot of the pre-season up forward, and that was by design, knowing that if it doesn't eventuate and he has to go behind the ball, we know how good he is there. So we saw glimpses of him up forward, but I'm pretty happy when he's behind the ball because he is so reliable. Really, really good in the contest, and then again, he's one that sort of makes everyone better around him. So when he's out there, I think he adds 5% to every player around him, which again makes us a really good defence and team defence. So he had a great year, ultra consistent, and then the back end of his season was, if I looked at his ratings and stuff, he's rating above average in, I reckon, 7 out of the last 8 games. Like, they're really not only nullifying dangerous small forwards, but also setting us up offensively and getting his job done.
We continued to see the emergence of Josh Weddle this season. How did you see his form in 2024?
Yeah, Josh was, I think everyone gets excited when he gets the footy, but as a defensive coach, I really like when he gets his job done defensively and then looks to attack off the back of that. But similar to Scrim, played on some key forwards, a little bit undersized and still only in his second year. But I think he got his job done more often than not, and then we saw his weapons and what he's capable of doing with the footy, and even if he gets really high up the ground, hitting the scoreboard as well. So similar to Scrim, I think he had a great year, but still a lot of potential to grow and become one of the elite defenders in the game.
What did you make of Bodie Ryan's season in the VFL?
He has a really good understanding of the modern game's defence, so try not to give him too much information, because what he does out on the field, he usually makes the right decisions. So I think he, towards the back end of the year, got some really good consistency and really good performances under his belt. A few little interruptions with his body, but I'm sure he's on top of that now. His evolution will be guys like playing on a Toby Green, those sort of medium to small defenders. I think he's got the best example in front of him, which is Blake Hardwick. So I think that's where his potential lies.
How about Will McCabe? Obviously a bit of an injury setback during the season, but he came through at the end and played some footy in the VFL.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for Will that he actually did get some games under his belt. Obviously, when you're young and a back issue and a back injury can be quite serious, and you're obviously not going to rush those things. But for him to get back and just play some footy and enjoy performing with his teammates at VFL level, I think is great. We saw a little glimpse of what the future is going to hold for Will, and it's quite exciting. Again, we've got a couple of players in similar frames with Weddle and Scrimmer, so I think they're good examples for him and how quick it could happen. Like, you look at Josh, he's in his second year, so I think it'd be important off-season and pre-season for Will to get his body and make sure he doesn't have any too many more interruptions through injury. But yeah, I think he's got some real star qualities.
Jai Sarong had a superb year in the VFL and obviously got his opportunity at AFL level a couple of times this season. What did you make of his year?
Yeah, I thought Jai had without getting a lot of opportunity at AFL level, through no fault of his own, had a really good year. Was almost probably played above the level, I reckon, down at VFL. Like, he was often in the best players and performing well above down there. So really pleased that he got a couple of looks in there. We didn't have too many injuries in the back line, and the boys performed pretty well, but he was constantly knocking on the door, and he was constantly brought up in match committee. How do we get this guy in the team? He's performing so well at VFL level. So pleased he got a couple of games under his belt, but pleased that the improvement in his game, all-round game in the contest, his team D understanding, and even his ball use at VFL level was, really pleasing.
How did you rate Sheamus Mitchell's season?
Yeah, I think Sheamus, really pleased that he's still got 10 games in, and for him, a guy who's had quite a few injuries through his first couple of years in the AFL system, to play 20 games, 10 AFL, 10 VFL, I think's a really good almost soundboard to launch into next year. So played a lot of footy early in the year, and then through, I think he missed maybe one with injury, and then we just struggled to get him back in. But his VFL form was exceptional. So I think if he can translate a bit of that more into the AFL, and we see him run and carry and use his weapons, I think he's got a really bright future.
And lastly, how was Bailey McDonald's form in the VFL this year?
Yeah, Bailey, again, just some strange injuries as well, and he had a really good pre-season, and then right before the season started, he found a hot spot in his femur. And then again he got back and started playing some really good VFL footy, and then had another setback with injury as well. So I think disappointing that we didn't get to see him at AFL level, but there was still some really good progression in his game and in his performances. So I think again he's got some really good role models in front of him with Jars and Carl. The way they sort of play, I think, is how he would see himself at AFL level.